what are the top three things you look for in a new job?
A great manager, great culture, great product culture. So I was a software engineer before my MBA. Today we have a lot of vibe coding tools available. So anybody can build something and then you post about it on LinkedIn and get any and every problem that you get will be unstructured by default. Prompt engineering, you're able to write good prompts, able to create agents, able to write agent evaluations. Skills like that matter a lot right now.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Echoes After EOD. Today our guest is Aarzoo Bhatia, who is an SPJIMR Alum from class of 2021. Since college, she has built her career at the intersection of product, customers, team, and fast-moving technology. And she has spent her early years in product management space, mainly on AI-powered tools as well. She has spent around 4.5 years post her MBA in companies like Freshworks and DevRef. This conversation is designed to be beneficial and practical for students and new professionals who want to enter into the product management space. So thanks a lot, Arzu, for giving your time on the podcast and welcome.
Thank you so much, Arnav.
Perfect. So Arzu, I will take you back to the SPJMR days. The first question revolves around that. So when you were in the placement season, were you eyeing for the product management roles, or is that something which happened naturally because of the placement season?
Yeah, I joined MBA specifically to target product roles only. So I was a software engineer before my MBA, and I felt like I needed to know a little more about business than like somebody who can just get it from their day-to-day job. So I that's why I did an MBA in IEM from SPJIMR. So I was very clear right from the beginning that hey, I want to get into product only. Yeah.
Amazing. So you mentioned that you had some previous experience as well. Was it also revolving around the product space, or it was like during that time you thought that product would be a natural like progression from what experience you had before, and then it kind of made sense for you to do product? Like, how did you end up and made that clarity around that this is the role which I want?
Yeah, so I started my career as a full stack engineer in a startup, and like then I joined 1MG. I worked for about 2 years in both these companies, and whenever I used to like work on any project of mine as an engineer, like I always used to see like who is this person who is giving me the requirements, who is this person who just comes and tells us, hey, this is what the customer wants. And I started talking to the PMs in my company, and I figured out, okay, their work is quite interesting. They're not just like working on one aspect, but they are the ones who talk to different teams. They are the ones who talk to the customers, and they're getting to do something from beginning to end rather than just one part of it, which is what you do as a coder, as an engineer. So that always sort of made me curious. And then I started more about it. Like I got some resources. Then I got to know, okay, this person gets to do a little bit of design also. This person gets to learn a lot about business. Okay, how do we move the revenue, all of that. And then you are actually getting to know the customer problems. And code is just one way to solve it. So that's how I got really curious. I thought of different options. I could have continued with my job and switched in my own company, or I could have done an MBA. And then I figured, okay, maybe an MBA is a great idea because I didn't know much at that time about, say, finance, marketing. All of those were like big unknowns for me.
Yeah.
So that's when I thought, okay, let's get into MBA and see how that takes me to product. So that's how I got sort of inspired.
Got it. No, I like that thought process because what you were doing earlier was the coding stuff, which was more towards the back end. And then you understood that knowing the customers and the business is also important, and the flavor of which you saw from the product managers you were working with. But when you joined the product management space after MBA, do you think that the image which you had in your head about a product manager, did it align exactly to what you were doing after MBA, or there was some mismatch between your expectations and what exactly the reality was?
So, yes, definitely a little bit of mismatch always exists whenever you have something in mind and when you see it in reality.
Yeah.
So, in terms of what was different, I would say, like, as a PM, you have to focus a lot on execution. Like in MBA, we learn a lot of theory, we learn a lot of ways in which you have to think about what to build, who to build it for, how to launch it. But when you actually get to it in a company, you see there are a lot of constraints. A lot of constraints in terms of people, in terms of like the timelines you have, and then you have to really think on your feet. So in terms of the thinking on the feet that's required, and the execution muscle that is required. I did not know anything about it back then, and that came with practice. That comes to every PM with practice. The more and more you sort of build features, you launch them, go through those launch cycles, you learn, okay, this is how it works in real life. That like exact PRD I made, it's not necessarily that gets built in the end. So
Mm.
yeah, I think that was the biggest difference.
Okay, can you give one example of such a PRD, like where you meet something else and then you realize after like iterations and getting to know that, okay, this is not what the customer exactly wants. I'm assuming that that is the case, right? Which you're talking about.
So, back in Fresh Desk, I was part of the Freddy AI product team, where Fresh Desk is used by support agents. So, support agents, they get tickets on the product and they reply to their customers through the Fresh Desk app that we have. So there, I was sort of conceptualizing this feature, sentiment analysis, where we wanted to show the current sentiment of the customer to the support agent so that they can prioritize the upcoming tickets accordingly. Like if a customer sentiment is super negative, you pick that first and not the ones as much which are neutral sentiment. So there, something as simple as deciding what are the number of sentiments you want to show. So earlier we thought, hey, why not just like give a whole bunch of like 27 to 30 sentiments which are possible, like emotions which are possible, and then just show them like just like Grammarly does. Grammarly has like a lot of emotions that they show you whenever you're typing. It's not
Yeah.
just as simple as positive, negative, neutral, but they have like a whole range. So we thought of that, but when we spoke with customers, like once we built an MVP, it turned out that they did not want that. They wanted something as simple as positive, neutral, and negative. And that's all. And they focus more on getting a score. Like they wanted like 100 score or 90 score. Another interesting thing now I recall is European customers specifically, they did not want sentiment at all. They did not trust it at all because their way of talking involves a lot of sarcasm. And they still did not trust AI to catch up on that at all. They were like,
Yeah.
hey, we don't want to use it. This is the reason we don't look at Grammarly's emotions also. So
Hmm.
yeah, things like that, insights like that you get. Sometimes customers say they want something, but then when you build it, they were like, okay, actually, I was talking to another colleague of mine when you showed it to me previously, and now I don't think this is gonna work. So
Hmm.
yeah, that way.
When there is some mismatch involved between what we envision in college versus what we're actually doing, is there something better
Mhm.
which students in colleges can do when they're preparing for the product management space so that they can better prepare themselves to be to get a like runway to the job in the first year itself?
Yeah, I think in terms of preparation for the real life, just talk to a lot of current PMs if you are in college right now and get to know how their work differs and if you can build that muscle, say, in MBA itself. However, like most of it is something that comes from job only. It's not something that you can really mimic during your MBA.
Yeah.
Because then we're not in MBA working with a lot of engineers, with designers. It's just the team working on projects, right? Or you can also do side projects. You can start with that if you want to get real life experience. So you take side projects or you build something of your own, right? Today we have a lot of vibe coding tools available. So anybody can build something and then you post about it on LinkedIn and get reviews from real PMs who are currently in their jobs. And that's how you get to learn as well. You
Mm.
get to see how they think in terms of constraints more than innovation. Like I remember back in college, it was only about thinking what is the best way to solve this problem and then coming up with something innovative because we did not have those constraints in mind.
Yeah,
But when you speak with real PMs, you get to know, okay, they always think in terms of constraints only. So yeah,
exactly.
that's one way.
No, I think that's super important because even if I take that example to what I'm currently doing through this podcast, I think I get a lot of flavors when I talk to different people in different industries, even not knowing about the industry in general. So I think talking and networking is very important in order to get those insights, right, beyond your ears, which you have not experienced yourself.
Yeah,
Understood.
correct.
If we talk about a job, like for example, product management, consulting, etc., then we tend to think of a persona of a person who is like working in that job. So, for example, people say that consultants tend to do a lot of networking, they love travel, they love like 12 to 14 hours of job, which is not true, right? Because when I also entered consulting, it was just that I got that job and then I had to basically live through it. But do you think that there
Hmm.
is some persona or characteristic traits attached to a product manager as well? Like, for example, if a student is eyeing for that role, and then he or she
Hmm.
thinks that if I'm a fit for that role or if I should go into that space, then are there any traits which they should look for in themselves that, okay, if I enjoy doing this, then probably this is a right fit for me? Or did you do it from your perspective when you were in college?
Um, hmm. Yeah, I think in terms of traits, if you're somebody who loves the idea of building software products, I think that's the first and foremost thing you should be looking at. That's also a major difference from consulting. That in consulting you get to think about problems from different spaces, not just software. So that should be the first and foremost reason. Second, it goes with the definition of product management itself. You have some interest in business, but you have a lot of interest in technical side of things and also design. So, like these three spaces, if you have these interests, then yes, like you should be eyeing, you can eye product management roles. And in terms of characteristics, I think one is like planning. That becomes the first and foremost thing. Planning, structure. So any and every problem that you get will be unstructured by default, and it is the same with consulting also. So there, you have to first of all give it a structure, and then being able to also convert your vision into reality. I think that's where the biggest difference lies. So there you have to really think on the feet, be great with people. Like if you have a natural way of working with different people, like you are able to easily collaborate with people from different verticals or different walks of life. Like you can very easily talk to a designer, very easily talk to somebody in finance. Maybe you'll be doing great in product then, because that's exactly what we do. Like most of the work that we do is through other people, with other people. And customer empathy is one of the key traits of a product manager. There also you need to be understanding what the core customer problem. There also, if you have those people skills or a general like want to work with people, then I think you'll really enjoy product management.
When we say about building products, then earlier there was a lot of technical things involved behind it. But now we have a bunch of tools, either it be LLMs or tools like Lovable, where we can directly through natural language create the products themselves. So I understand that from one perspective, it compresses the timelines of envisioning and making a product. But what other things do you think have changed in the product management space because of these tools?
I think in terms of changing changes, the biggest
Mm.
one is people are thinking AI first. Earlier, we used to think of customer problems if they can be solved with AI as a tool in place. But now, with the advent of a new tool every few weeks, everybody's thinking, okay, we have a new tool in place. Can we solve a problem with this? Is there a market for this? So people are thinking like a little bit reverse from the regular product psychology that we have. That you first have a problem, then you think of a solution. People are not thinking that way. That's like a biggest change I'm seeing right now in organizations around me and within. And then apart from that, a lot of there's a lot of noise and like some hype around AIPMs. And AIPMs are nothing but the ones who are building AI native products. So if you are like somebody who is well versed with AI, you understand the technology behind it. If you're able to work with techniques like prompt engineering. You're able to write good prompts, able to create agents, able to write agent evaluations. Skills like that matter a lot right now, and as opposed to basic skills that make a product manager, as in customer empathy. And having said that, however, those skills are not going anywhere. Those are the ones who will make you stay, which will make you stay, because the other ones can be learned, but the soft skills are the ones which you have to like, they come with practice, and either you have them or you don't have them. So they are still there. However, the other skills, they're valued a lot more these days, the ones I said.
Got it. And considering also that you mentioned that there are so many changes which is happening and AI itself is also changing. It's not fixated right now. So how do you suggest one should go about learning those tools in the product management space?
Yeah. I think first of all, you can read a lot of newsletters that like product managers generally follow. Like you can read TechRun, Stratechery, and GrowthX releases great newsletters sometimes. So you can follow those, and then like generally, whenever say a new model comes up, you can, if there's a playground available, you can go ahead and experiment with that. Just see what kind of queries it's able to answer, not answer well, where can it be used, just understanding its capabilities. That's where you can start from. And then in terms of understanding basic concepts, there are, I feel, right now a lot of influencers in this space who are like, especially on LinkedIn, they're like doing really well in terms of teaching how to become an AI PM or an AI powered PM per se. If you do not want to build an AI product, you can just use AI in your day-to-day life. Yeah, like vibe coding comes into that scope.
Perfect. And regarding the growth, the salaries, etc. in PM, how does it look like, Arzu? So, what are the designations of growth which are there in the product management space, and how exponentially does the salary grow in each and every designation?
I think the best place to find these details would be levels.fyi, where you have salaries, ranges available for different roles. But I can tell you the designations, the different designations. What I have seen usually are APM, followed by PM, senior PM, staff PM, lead PM. Then you have directors of product management, and sometimes you have a senior manager before director. And of course, you have senior directors or CPOs. So it really varies if you're a part of an enterprise or an SMB. But if you're part of a startup, usually what I've seen is that there is either flat hierarchy that everybody is a member of product management, which is the case in DevRev for now. And then you have like a product lead on the second level, or a director on a third level, and then a chief product officer directly, like just 3 4 levels. So
Mhm.
that way it varies. And for flat hierarchies, it really depends on your number of years of experience. And when I say experience, I mean relevant experience. So if you were, say, a designer before, then that counts. If you were a software engineer before, that counts as well. Or even any customer facing role, because PM is also adjacent to that. So yeah, that way the designations work usually.
Got it. Perfect. Awesome. Arzu, this exhausts the questions which I had on the product management space. And just before letting you go, there is a small rapid fire which I have. I will just request you not to think a lot when you're answering these questions and just tell whatever the first words are coming to your mind. So, what are the top three things you look for in a new job?
A great manager, great culture, great product culture. Yeah.
Perfect. Your three most used AI tools this year.
Lovable, N10, Replit,
Okay. One habit that makes someone stand out in their first job.
Perseverance.
Okay. Best advice you've ever received.
Focus on what's next. If especially if you make a mistake, just focus on what you can do next.
A skill you have been actively building, but silently this year.
Just learning more about AI in general for that.
That's a good one. Perfect. That completes the episode, Arzu. Thanks a lot for taking your time again. I'm sure this will be pretty insightful for the audience, especially the ones who are looking into the product management space. And this was particularly insightful for me as well. So thanks a lot again.
Yeah, I'm grateful for being here and hopefully able to help others as well. Hopefully able to share.
Definitely. Thank you.